Tomorrow is our Module 7 reading assessment, and so I wanted us to go back and review what we have learned so far. So we've talked about tall tales and how these are exaggerated stories that are meant to be entertaining. Tall tales include a main character who is larger than life and often has superhuman abilities. The main character in a tall tale solves problems in a funny way that is hard to believe. That's where we get the exaggerated part from. Authors of tall tales use exaggerated details of characters and events. And then we also talked about fables. A fable is a short story meant to teach a lesson. Fables teach a lesson called a moral that people should apply to their lives. Remember, another way that you may see the word lesson or moral could be message. So the STAR test could ask you, what is the message that the author wanted you to learn? Okay. Sometimes the moral is stated at the end of the fable. Characters in fables are usually animals. And then one last one that we were supposed to go over on Tuesday, but we ended up having a bad weather day with no school. And that one is legends. Legends are stories from the past that are believed by many people but cannot be proved to be true. Legends may explain how things came to be. The main character is known as the hero. The plot includes the hero overcoming an obstacle. Events or characters have larger than life qualities. So these legends are very similar to tall tales, especially with the larger than life qualities. But the difference is tall tales are exaggerated to the point where you know for a fact there's no way that can be true. A legend is believed to be true by many people, although they can't prove it. So we're going to review these different types of folk tales, which are all fiction, and we're going to do that by moving our bodies a little bit. So as we get to the questions of this passage, you are going to stand up if you think the answer is A. You're going to sit down if you think the answer is B. Sit on the floor if you think the answer is C. And tap your fingertips together if you think the answer is D. Okay? So the very first, let's see, we're actually going to start with this one. We're going to start with this tall tale, titled Pierre de la Mer. Now remember, when we read a passage, we need to use our Unreal strategies in order to fully understand that passage. Okay? So we're going to start by underlining the title and predicting. I predict that this passage is going to be about a French man who likes to travel. I don't know. Next, we need to number the paragraphs. Since our paragraphs are already numbered, we're just going to go through and circle those numbers. We do this to make sure that we're not skipping any paragraphs as we read. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we know we have 9 paragraphs to read. So we did the U in Unreal. We did the N. Next we have the R, which stands for read the questions and the selection, not the answers. So first we're going to go and read our questions, not the answers. 1. Read the sentence from paragraph 1. Why, he crossed that great blue carpet so many times he just about wore a hole in it. What does the figurative language in this sentence help the reader understand about Pierre? Number 2. Read the sentence from paragraph 3. Every time Pierre pulled the wrong rope or raised the wrong sail, he turned red as a garden tomato. What does turn red as a garden tomato in this sentence show about Pierre's feelings? Number 3, read the sentence from paragraph 4. 2 enormous yellow eyes rose from water and glared at the ship before disappearing below the surface. Read the analogy. Terror is to calm as enormous is to blank. Which word best completes the analogy? Number 4, read the sentence from paragraph 6. You see, Pierre knew the kraken wouldn't bite the hand that fed it. What does "wouldn't bite the hand that fed it" tell the reader about the kraken? Number 5, based on the suffix ion, which means act, what does celebration mean in paragraph 6? Number 6, what does Pierre do to change the other sailors' opinions of him? Then we're not going to do number 7 because it's an open-ended question. So now we're going to go back and read the selection. Pierre de la Mer. If you heard of the Atlantic Ocean, you've surely heard of the famous sailor Pierre de la Mer. Why, he crossed that great blue carpet so many times he just about wore a hole in it. Once when Pierre was a baby, his mama took him down to the sea for a bath. He wiggled away and swam way out toward the deep. His poor mama was certain that he was lost, but he'd come riding in on the back of a whale, you see, he could talk to the sea creatures. In fact, he spoke so sweetly that every creature on land or sea was pleased to do anything he asked. So we can tell this is a tall tale because all of this exaggeration, a baby swimming off into the deep and then coming back riding on the back of a whale and being able to speak to sea creatures, absolutely no way that'd be possible. So we know, again, this is exaggerated and a tall tale. As a young man, he sweet-talked his way onto the crew of a ship. Pretty soon, the ship set out on a voyage across the Atlantic to fish in the waters of Nova Scotia. At first, the other sailors didn't think much of the skinny lad who didn't know the boat from the stern. Every time Pierre pulled the wrong rope or raised the wrong sail, he turned red as a garden tomato. That was in our questions. One evening, the ship passed a dark hump in the water. Funny, said the captain. That island wasn't there before. Then the island started to move. 2 enormous yellow eyes rose from the water and glared at the ship before disappearing below the surface. Then, in the blink of an eye, the ship was gripped by a tangle of huge, snake-like arms. "It's the Kraken!" shouted the captain. "We're done for!" Terror swept through the crew, but Pierre stayed calm. He dove down into the sea until he found the wide, staring eyes of the Kraken. Then he used his sweet-talking tongue to make a deal. If the Kraken would let go of the ship, the sailors would give it all the fish it could eat. You see, Pierre knew the Kraken wouldn't bite the hand that fed it. One of the Kraken's arms curled around Pierre and lifted him safely back onto the deck, where the sailors cheered in celebration. All the way across the ocean, the Kraken followed the ship like a puppy, eating part of the catch every day. When the ship finally approached the Bay of Fundy, the fog was so thick the captain was afraid he'd crash into the rocks. So Pierre hitched the Kraken to the fog like an ox to a plow, and that faithful beast dragged the fog right out of the bay. After 2 days without catching a single fish, Pierre rowed the Kraken deep into the bay. They pulled up a big rock that looked like a bathtub plug, and the bay emptied out so fast the fish were left jumping on the sand. The sailors gathered them all up. Then Pierre and the Kraken put the rock back where they found it. Soon the bay filled up again. A dozen more times they drained the bay and filled it up. When they had as many fish as the ship could hold, they turned around and went right back across the Atlantic. The Kraken still goes back to drain the bay and catch its dinner. That's why the Bay of Fundy tides go out so fast and come in so high. Now let's answer our questions. Number 1, read the sentence from paragraph 1. Why he crossed that great blue carpet so many times he just about wore a hole in it. What does the figurative language in this sentence help the reader understand about Pierre? Well, first, what type of figurative language is this? It is a hyperbole. So what does the figurative language in this sentence help the reader understand about Pierre? A, He is famous as a sailor all over the world. If you think A is the answer, you are going to stand up. B, he is growing weary of traveling the ocean. If you think the answer is B, you're going to sit in a chair or on the couch. C, he has a great deal of experience sailing the ocean. If you think the answer is C, you're going to sit on the ground. Or D, he has been traveling the world since he was a baby. If you think the answer is D, you're going to tap your fingertips together. The answer here is C. So if you are sitting on the ground, you are correct. It is telling us about how much experience he has. Number 2. Read the sentence from paragraph 3. Every time Pierre pulled the wrong rope or raised the wrong sail, he turned as red as a garden tomato. So what does turned as red as a garden tomato in this sentence show us about Pierre's feelings? What does the simile tell us about his feelings? A, he is angry. If you think that's the answer, you're going to stand up. B, he is brave. If you think B is the answer, you are going to sit in a chair. C, he is excited. If you think C is the answer, you're going to sit on the floor. Or D, he is ashamed. If you think D is the answer, you're going to tap your fingertips together. If you are tapping your fingertips together, you are correct. He is ashamed. He's embarrassed. That is why some people turn red. Number 3. Read the sentence from paragraph 4. 2 enormous yellow eyes rose from the water and glared at the ship before disappearing below the surface. Read the analogy. Terror is to calm, which they are opposite, as enormous is to what? So what is the opposite of enormous? Which word best completes the analogy? A, tiny, which means you're standing. B, clear, you're sitting in your seat. C, silent, you are sitting on the floor. Or D, shiny, you're tapping your fingertips together. If you are standing up, you are correct because the opposite of enormous is tiny. Number 4, read the sentence from paragraph 6. You see, Pierre knew the kraken wouldn't bite the hand that fed it. What does wouldn't bite the hand that fed it tell the reader about the kraken? A, it will not hurt anyone who helps it, standing. B, it will follow the ship across the ocean, sitting in your chair. C, it will not eat more fish than it deserves, sitting on the floor. Or D, it will help the sailor to catch more fish, tapping your fingers together. The answer is A. It would not hurt someone who's trying to give it food. Number 5, based on the suffix ion, which means at, what does celebration mean in paragraph 6? So let's go read that sentence in paragraph 6. One of the kraken's arms curled around Pierre and lifted him back to safety onto the deck, where the sailors cheered in celebration. So they are cheering in celebration. Does this mean A, a shelter from harm? If you think so, you're going to stand. B, the bow of a ship. If you think that is the definition of celebration, you're going to sit in your chair. C, fear and wonder. You're going to sit on the floor. Or D, praise and joy. You're going to tap your fingers together. If you are tapping your fingertips together, you are correct. It means to praise and to have joy. Number 6. What does Pierre do to change the other sailors' opinions of him? Stand if you think it is A. He learns the difference between bow and stern. Sit in your chair if you think it's B. He makes a deal with the kraken to save the ship. Sit on the floor if you think it's C. He sweetly talks his way onto the crew of the ship. And tap your fingers if you think it is D. He rides all the way to the shore on the back of a whale. Our answer here is B. He saves the ship.